I'm you. Today we're going to see about orthostatic hypotension. Orthostatic hypotension is an excessive fall in blood pressure when an upright position is assumed. The consensus definition is a drop of greater than 20 milligram of mercury systolic, 10 millimeter mercury is diastolic, or both. Symptoms of faintness, lightheadedness, dizziness, confusion, or blurred vision occur within seconds to a few minutes of standing and resolve rapidly on lying down. Some patients experience falls, syncope, or even generalized seizure. Exercise or a heavy meal may exacerbate symptoms. Most other associated symptoms and signs relate to the cause. Orthostatic hypotension is a manifestation of abnormal blood pressure regulation due to various conditions, not a specific disorder. Evidence increasingly suggests that disorders of postural hemodynamic control increase the risk of cardiovascular disease and all cause mortality. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. POTS. POTS is a syndrome of orthostatic intolerance in young patients. POTS is defined as heart rate of greater than 120 beats per minute or an increase of greater than 30 beats per minute when a patient moves from supine to standing position. Various symptoms and tachycardia occurs upon standing. However, there is a little or no fall in blood pressure. The reason for symptoms is unclear. Pathophysiology. Normally, the gravitational stress of suddenly standing cause blood to pool in the veins of the leg and trunk. The subsequent transient decrease in venous return reduces cardiac output and thus blood pressure. In response, baroreceptor in aortic arch and carotid sinus activate autonomic reflexes to rapidly return blood pressure to normal. The sympathetic nervous system increases heart rate and contractility and increases the vasomotor tone of the capacitance vessel. Simultaneous parasympathetic inhibition also increases the heart rate. In most people, changes in blood pressure and heart rate upon standing are minimal and transient, and symptoms do not occur. With continued standing, activation of renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system and vasopressin secretion causes sodium and water retention and increases the circulating blood volume. Etiology. Homeostatic mechanism may be inadequate to restore low blood pressure if afferent central or efferent portion of autonomic reflex arc are impaired by disorders or drugs. If myocardial contractility or vascular responsiveness is depressed, if hypovolemia is present, or if hormonal response are faulty. Causes differing depending on whether symptoms are acute or chronic. The most common cause of acute orthostatic hypotension include hypovolemia, drugs, prolonged bed rest, and adrenal insufficiency. The most common cause of chronic orthostatic hypotension include age-related changes in blood pressure regulation, drugs, and auto dysfunction. The postprandial orthostatic hypotension is also common. It may be caused by insulin response to high carbohydrate meal, and blood pooling in gastrointestinal tract. This condition is worsened by alcohol intake. Evaluation. The orthostatic hypotension is diagnosed when systolic blood pressure drops by greater than 20 millimeter of mercury or diastolic blood pressure drops by greater than 10 millimeter of mercury within 3 minutes of standing. Once orthostatic hypotension is diagnosed, a cause must be sought. History of presenting illness should identify the duration and severity of symptoms. The patient is asked about known triggers and the relationship of the symptoms to meals. Review of symptoms seeks symptoms of causative disorders, particularly symptoms of autonomic insufficiency such as visual impairment, incontinence or urinary retention, constipation, heat tolerance, and erectile dysfunction too. Other important symptoms include tremor, rigidity and difficulty in walking, weakness and fatigue, and black tarry stools. Other symptoms of neurological and cardiovascular disorder and cancers are noted. Past medical history should identify known potential cause, which includes diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and cancer. The drug profile should be reviewed for offending prescription drugs, particularly antihypertensive and nitrates. A family history of orthostatic symptoms suggests a possible familial dysautonomia. Physical examination. Blood pressure and heart rate are measured after 5 minutes supine and 1 and 3 minutes after standing. Patients unable to stand may be assessed while sitting upright. Hypotension without a compensatory increase in heart rate suggests an autonomic impairment. Marked increase suggests hypovolemia, or if symptoms develop without hypotension, it causes Pott's disease. The skin and mucosa are inspected for signs of dehydration and for pigment changes suggestive of our Addison disease. A rectal examination is done to detect gastrointestinal bleeding. During the neurological examination, gastrourinary and rectal reflexes can be tested to evaluate the autonomic function. Assessment include the cremasteric reflex, stroking, normally stroking the thigh result in retraction of the testis, and anal link reflex, which is stroking perianal skin, result in contraction of the anal sphincter. Signs of peripheral neuropathy, that is abnormalities of strength sensation and deep tendon reflexes, are assessed. Red flags. Certain findings suggest a more serious etiology like bloody positive stool or abnormal neurological examination. Interpretation of finding. In patients with acute symptoms, the most common cause are drug, bedsheet, bed rest, and volume depletion are often apparent clinically. In patients with chronic symptoms, an important goal is to detect any neurological disorder causing autonomic dysfunction. Patients with movement abnormalities may have Parkinson's disease or multiple symptom atrophy. Patients with finding of peripheral neuropathy may have an apparent cause, but a paraneoplastic syndrome due to an occult cancer and amyloidosis must be considered. Patients who have only peripheral autonomic symptoms may have pure autonomic failure. Testing, electrocardiography, and serum electrolytes, creatinine, thyroid stimulating hormone, and glucose are routinely checked. However, these and other tests are usually of little benefit unless suggested of specific symptoms. The dose of a suspected drug may be reduced or a drug stopped to confirm the drug as the cause. Till table testing may be done when autonomic dysfunction is suspected. It gives more consistent result than supine and upright BP assessment and eliminates augmentation of venous return by leg muscle contraction. The patient may remain upright for 30 to 45 minutes of blood pressure assessment. Patient with autonomic symptoms or signs require further evaluation of diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and possibly multiple system atrophy and pure autonomic failure. Testing for pure autonomic failure may require plasma norepinephrine or vasopressin measurement with the patient supine and upright. Autonomic function can also be evaluated with the bedside cardiac monitoring. Although this test is not often done, when the autonomic system is intact, heart rate increases in response to inspiration. The heart is monitored as the patient breathes slowly and deeply for 1 minute. The longest interbeat interval during expiration is normally at least 1.15 times the minimum of RR interval during inspiration. A shorter interval suggests autonomic dysfunction, but this response to inspiration may decrease with aging. A similar variation in RR interval should exist between rest and 10 to 15 seconds Valsalva maneuver. Treatment, non-drug treatment. Patient requiring prolonged bed rest should sit up each day and exercise in bed when possible. Patient should rise slowly from a recumbent or sitting position, consume adequate fluids, limit or avoid alcohol, and exercise regularly when feasible. Regular modest intensity exercise promotes overall vascular tone and reduces the venous pooling. Elderly patients should avoid prolonged standing. Sleeping with head of bed raised may relieve symptoms by promoting sodium retention and reducing the nocturnal diuresis. Postprandial hypotension can often be prevented by reducing the size and carbohydrate content of meals, minimizing alcohol intake, and avoiding sudden standing after meals. Waist high fitted elastic hose may increase the venous return, cardiac output, and blood pressure after standing. In severe cases, inflatable aviator type anti gravity suit although often poorly tolerated, may be needed to produce adequate leg and abdominal counterpressure. Increasing the sodium and water intake may expand the intravascular volume and lessen the symptom. In the absence of heart failure or hypertension, sodium intake can be increased to 6 to 10 gram daily by liberally salting the food of or taking sodium chloride tablets. This approach risks heart failure, particularly in elder patients and in patients with impaired myocardial function. Development of dependent edema without heart failure does not contraindicate continuing this approach. Drug treatment, fluorocortisone, a mineralocorticoid which causes sodium retention, which expands plasma volume and often lessens the symptoms, but is effective only when sodium intake is adequate. Dosage is 0.1 milligram at bedtime, increased weekly to 1 milligram or until peripheral edema occurs. This drug may also improve the peripheral vasoconstrictor response to sympathetic stimulation. Supine hypertension, heart failure, and hypokalemia may occur. Potassium supplements may be needed. Midodrine, a peripheral alpha agonist that is both an arterial and a venous constrictor, is often effective. Dosage is 2.5 milligram to 10 milligram oral dose. Adverse effects include paresthesia and itching. This drug is not recommended for patients with coronary artery or peripheral artery disease. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs may inhibit prostaglandin-induced vasodilation, increasing peripheral vascular resistance. However, NSAID may cause GS symptoms and unwanted vasopressor reactions. Droxidopa, a norepinephrine precursor, may be beneficial for autonomic dysfunction. Propranolol or other beta blockers may enhance the beneficial effect of sodium and mineralocorticoid therapy. Beta blockers with propranolol leads to unopposed alpha adrenergic peripheral vascular vasoconstriction, preventing the vasodilation that occurs when some patients stand. Pyridostigmine and octreotide have been effective in small clinical studies. So, geriatric essential orthostatic hypotension occurs in about 20% of the elder patients. It is more common among people with coexisting disorders, especially hypertension, and among residents of long-term care facilities. Many falls may result from unrecognized orthostatic hypotension. The increased risk incidence in the elder is due to decreased baroreceptor responsiveness plus decreased arterial complaints. Decreased baroreceptor responsiveness delays the cardio acceleration and peripheral vasoconstriction in response to standing. Paradoxically, hypertension may contribute to poor baroreceptor sensitivity, increasing the vulnerability to orthostatic hypotension. The elderly also have decreased resting parasympathetic tone so that cardio acceleration due to reflex vagal withdrawal is lessened. The key points are orthostatic hypotension typically involves volume depletion or autonomous dysfunction. Some degree of autonomous dysfunction is common in elders, but neurological disorders must be ruled out. Tilt table testing is sometimes done. Treatment involves physical measures to reduce the venous pooling, increase sodium intake, and sometimes fluorocortisone or midodrine is used. Thank you for listening. Bye.